Welcome to Breakthroughs in Depression and Anxiety, where we're looking for future cures and natural treatments for depression and anxiety. Join Mick Maley, whose mission is to increase knowledge and give hope to those who suffer, as well as spread the word about new treatments, which he hopes will encourage new development and raise money for further research. Mick is not a doctor, and so you should always speak to your doctor first before engaging in treatment. Now, here's your host, Mick Maley.
Hello, this is Mick. Welcome to Breakthroughs in Depression and Anxiety. So, I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, guys, I'm not a doctor, so take that into consideration. And even worse yet, if I were to have attempted to become a doctor, I probably would have failed out of medical school. So, this is who you're getting your information from, folks. So, in the intro segment tonight, we are going to talk about some sad news. Yes, sad news that I found coming out today. But first, I'd like to talk about my experience. I've been feeling quite good lately. And no, I'm not bragging. Don't worry, I'll feel bad again. Anyhow, I think it is because it's starting to get a little bit warm outside. It seems like, to me, whenever the sun is out, strange things happen to me. I get these foreign, blissful feelings inside. Does anyone out there ever get that? Also, when September starts to roll around, the days get shorter, and they get constantly dark and cold and rainy outside. And it seems like clockwork, then I feel more down. I know those of you living in more sunny climate, maybe like Arizona or California or even Florida, Texas, may not experience this. And when it's nice out, it's nice and sunny. I feel like going for a walk. I get some sun on my face and skin, and it just makes me more peaceful. Which brings me to the subject of SAD, which stands for Seasonal Affective Disorder. It's pretty clever. It's an acronym. I'm sure you've all heard of it. This is a type of depression thought to start in the fall and continue through the winter months. It is thought to be caused by a lack of light. Well, on to the news part about this segment. There was a new study out from Auburn University. Who are they anyways, right? That says SAD is not real, which I found to be quite amazing since, I have personally felt the changes in my mood come and go with the fall, winter, and summer. Spring's my favorite. The study states, in part, that the idea of seasonal depression, and this is all in quotes, so the idea of seasonal depression may be strongly rooted in folk psychology, but it is not supported by objective data. So, wow. In the study, there's a lot of people. They had 34,294 non-depressed participants and a lowly 1,754 depressed participants. Apparently, each year, the Center for Disease Control conduct a large cross-sectional study of the U.S. population. Some researchers use the CDC results to independently investigate how much depression changes by season. The CDC study included a set of questions typically used to screen for depression. By analyzing the answers gathered from the adults over the course of the year, the researchers thought they might see wintertime surges in depression. But unfortunately, no. Instead, the CDC survey revealed no evidence of seasonal affective disorder. After checking the huge non-SAD population, they did their due diligence and reanalyzed the answers from a subset of people who were classified as depressed when they took the survey. Still, there was no sign of SAD. They did detect higher rates of depression in women. Well, that's already known. And the unemployed. No surprise there. But, to me, and I looked at these results, it looked as if though married people were less depressed than both divorced or the widowed. Imagine that. Still, there are other studies coming out of the University of California, San Francisco, that say they have found a mutation in a gene called PER3 that may affect human mood and lead to SAD. Also, a man named Dr. David Avery, who is apparently one of the world's top experts in SAD, said, and you can imagine he's trying to defend SAD, but just take it for what it is. He said that he believes the study is flawed, especially for how it applies to people living in the Seattle area. So SAD might still be a real thing. I certainly think it is. Have any of you guys out there ever suffered from SAD? If so, there's a different kind of treatment for it, which is essentially a very bright light consisting of a blinding 10,000 lux bulb. I use one on almost a daily basis. In fact, I'm using one right now. I turn it on quite a bit when I'm at my desk. They can be easily found online. In fact, you can get one right now. I use one on almost a daily basis. In fact, I have one right now. I turn it on quite a bit when I'm at my desk. These can be easily ordered online at Amazon or other stores without a prescription. So you may find that it helps you. It is supposed to be used in the morning when you wake up for about an hour, which is it's kind of a commitment. But if you can bring it to your office, that might be a good solution if you work in an office. They can be very expensive, though, considering it's just a light bulb, and they range from about $70 to $300 or more. But if it helps, I definitely think it'd be worth it. And that'll bring us to our main breakthrough in this episode, which is LFMS, and that stands for Low Field Magnetic Stimulation. This is a device treatment. It's being manufactured, created, tested by a company called Tal Medical. Tal Medical is a clinical stage medical device company developing an innovative neurostimulation-based treatment for psychiatric disorders. Their ultimate goal and vision is to redefine the clinical paradigm in psychiatry in a similar way as medical devices have done in oncology, cardiology, and other clinical areas. This is straight from their website, so it's very formal sounding. So they were founded in 2011, and they're located in Boston, and that's Massachusetts, in case you guys don't know. Drug, what's the drug? That's great. There's no drug. It's drug-free. That's the biggest beauty of this solution. Treatment, solution. We'll go with treatment. The mechanism of action. LFMS utilizes an oscillating magnetic field to induce an alternating electric field. The most direct test of LMS efficiency to date measured glucose uptake in the brain. They observed that the glucose uptake levels were decreased following LFMS. So potential uses. Well, it's obviously used for major depressive disorder. It can also be used for anxiety. So far, maybe. Bipolar disorder. It's currently in clinical trials for that. Dysthymia, which is a more consistent low-grade depression. And SAD, which we just talked about. Also, PTSD. I find that these all kind of always go together. If something works for depression, works for anxiety, not always, but it seems these are often grouped together. So the theory behind this device, well, I couldn't find one, except for the fact that they mentioned earlier about how they observed that glucose reuptake levels were decreased after using LFMS. That's about it. So what's so exciting about this? Well, it can come in a portable tabletop device, which not only means you could have this in your home, but you could take it on vacation with you. I mean, what better thing to have on vacation? But I think that means that it can be used, obviously in your home. It's convenient. Imagine waking up in the morning, feeling bad, going over, laying down at your table. 20 minutes later before work, you feel like a new person. And they say that there's substantial improvement in mood immediately following one 20-minute application with the tabletop device. So that's wonderful. And this was a small study, and they didn't follow the people afterwards, which for I guess any amount of time, maybe about an hour, and they let them go. I don't understand that. I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. They didn't, so they're not sure about I don't know if you call it durability of the treatment. So this is a potential non-drug, fast-acting solution that is non-invasive. Would this mean that there are fewer side effects, you ask? Why, yes, it does. Indeed, that is the case. So far, there are no known side effects. And unlike the current, and what I will say is kind of pathetic, drugs for depression, you don't have to wait 8 weeks for relief. Obviously, 20 minutes. It's pretty good. So, I think every treatment for depression right now, this one was found serendipitously. Yeah, serendipitously. With the MRI protocol. They had patients undergoing MRI for other reasons, and they found that it instantly lifted their mood. And so they took, I guess, the expensive parts out of an MRI machine, or maybe the big parts too, and they put them in a little tabletop device, and that's what LFMS is. Now, it is not a coincidence, or maybe it is, but I have taken an MRI before. It was when I was not really young. It was about when I was in high school, maybe around 18. Maybe pretty close when all this stuff started happening to me. I thought I had a brain tumor. I mean, doesn't that seem like a lot of people may think that? I remember going in. I went into the hospital, and they scheduled me for an MRI. And I remember I was so depressed. I was crying, and I think my grandma took me there. It's not really important to the story, but I think I remember that's what it was. And I really was scared, upset, and I was actually hoping I had a tumor because I wanted something to be causing this, not just, nothing that they could find. So I wanted them to find something. So they put me in the MRI machine, and, I thought it was kind of a fun experience. So after it was finished, and even kind of during, I remember getting up, and I was so curious about what my brain looked like. I swear I remember that I didn't feel depressed anymore, and it didn't hit me too much then. But I'd later thought about it, not just even recently, but after I had the MRI, I was really just curious about what my brain looked like, and I was laughing about it. I thought it was really interesting. I remember asking if I could have photos of it, and they didn't give it to me, which I thought was pretty rude. Unfortunately, I don't remember how long that effect lasted, but it does give me more hope for this type of solution, because obviously we can't be going to get MRI scans every time we get depressed. They're kind of expensive, and I don't think it's something a doctor will do. So this has been tested on people with depression as well as bipolar disorder. I read somewhere that combining these two different populations may confound data in unclear ways, which is asked why they're doing it. I don't know, or why they did it, I guess. As far as I know now, they're separating out a bit in some of the current trials. So now I'm going to get a little technical, and I'm going to use language on which I don't understand, but this may be important to some people. The effects seen from LFMS may stem from changes in membrane potential in the dendritic cortex in layers 5 and 6, which project to limbic and other subcortical regions. What is evident, however, is that the device produces a global electric field that is likely affecting a wide array of cortical brain structures. Does that mean anything? I don't know, but I'll tell you what does mean something. The effect size of LFMS in a very small study was almost 70%. That's pretty good compared to ECT, which is around 80 to 90%. And, I guess that's what they come up with, but I don't know if that's true. I guess it's true. All right, so now for some what I would consider kind of negative news. They hint that it might be used in hospitals for severe depression to get people past suicide. They say that it can compete with the convenience of popping a pill and the cost of SSRIs. All right, now this frustrates me on a couple levels. Obviously, one being that, hey, SSRIs aren't exactly the depression cure-all. I mean, hey, buddy, if the pills were working, then I think the person wouldn't be thinking about suicide and thus wouldn't need your device. Am I right about that? And also, cost, really? Put it up for sale and I'll buy it. I guarantee you, I will buy it. I can't afford it, but I will buy the thing. So please, put it on the market, list it for sale. Don't make me go to the emergency room every time I need to feel okay. All right, so enough of the negative speak. There is good news, though. As of September 2015, they have enrolled their first patient in a dose optimization study. It will enroll 120 patients, and results are expected in early 2017. Speaking of clinical trials, let's look at those. Okay, so first, I'm going to talk about a small trial they did at McLean Hospital. It involves Michael Ronan, a physicist at McLean's Hospital's Brain Imaging Center and lecturer at Harvard Medical School, and the co-inventor of LFMS. Has been studying LFMS for over a decade. In his most recent study, his team studied 63 volunteers between the ages of 18 and 65 who have been diagnosed with depression or bipolar disorder. 34 of the patients received LFMS, while 29 went through the electrode process with no actual brain stimulation. This was, of course, the placebo group. The participants then rated their mood before and after the process. The researchers found that the group who had undergone brain stimulation with LFMS had a marked improvement in their mood just after 20 minutes. He had a quote in there that said, "We observed immediate improvement in mood following a relatively brief exposure to LFMS." Alright, so that's already been done. The first clinical trial, I don't think it was phase 1. Could have been, because the next one's phase 2, so we could say maybe it's phase 1. It started in November of 2007 and completed in March of 2013, which begs the question, if it only takes 20 minutes to use this thing, why do these take so long? I never understood this. I get it may take some time to get the right people, but, 6 years? Does it really take 6 years? I guess it takes 6 years. Anyways, they tested whether the low field magnetic stimulation, which is a long way of saying LFMS, can relieve some of the symptoms of depression and bipolar disorder and depression. They should have a better name for depression. Depression and depression. That's, it's great. So the study involves a screening visit with the study physician in the treatment center. Participants will be asked to complete several questionnaires about their mood during both visits. The visit will involve the use of LFMS device. Participants will place the top of their head inside the device for approximately 20 minutes. Participants will receive either the actual treatment or a sham, and no one will know which they receive. The device produces a weak electromagnetic field. There is no discomfort or even sensation caused by the device, so that probably makes doing the placebo sham one pretty easy. And the good thing is the device is declared to be of non-significant risk by the FDA. So after doing this, for 6 years, a mean difference of 3.2 on the HAM-D depression rating scale was observed. They had negative 0.19 for the active users, so they came down over 7 points, and for the sham they came down over 4 points. And I'm guessing this is just after 20 minutes of stimulation, which is pretty good. So now on to phase 2 studies. It's currently active, so that means they are currently recruiting people. So if you're interested, you can look this up. You could be part of the solution, people. There are currently maybe 5 that I found going on right now. 2 of them for depression, 2 of them for bipolar disorder, and 1 for PTSD. The PTSD is a phase 1 trial, not a phase 2 trial. And this is, it's going to be pretty serious when you get into phase 2. They're comparing the relative effectiveness of 20 and 40 minutes of low field magnetic stimulation in relieving depression. This is, I think, a dose escalating trial, or what dose works best. Essentially, it's the same for bipolar and PTSD. They're just looking for a positive outcome and see if it works for PTSD. As I said, this clinical trial is enrolling now. And I'm just going to go over the depressed one. I think they're fairly similar. You can replace depressed with bipolar disorder. Maybe. You'd want to look at your own condition on clinicaltrials.gov. So, the first requirement, and these are pretty heavy requirements, is you must be depressed. And when I read that, I laughed, because really, if you're not depressed and they're asking for people with depression, I don't understand not being depressed. And the second one is a little different. It's actually not heavy either. But you must be on an antidepressant, and I don't know the reason for that, but that's the requirement. You must be on an antidepressant. There is more brutal exclusion criteria. You will be excluded if you have failed 4 or more treatments, if you're currently on antipsychotics, if you're at risk for suicide. And, that's kind of funny because earlier, I don't know if you remember, but they were saying that this would be used to prevent suicide. So, but they're excluding that in the clinical trials, which, it's kind of funny. You cannot have a history of delirium, dementia, schizophrenia, or psychotic disorder. Eating disorder would also exclude you from the trial. If you have anxiety that is more severe than your depression, you will be excluded. History of seizures, and there are a few other exclusions. The list was quite long. There are several locations, unfortunately none where I live. If you live in the California, Florida, Georgia, Ohio, Texas, or Washington area, you may be in luck, and you might be able to get in. Just keep in mind the exclusion criteria and the brutal inclusion criteria. So the hope for me is that this will obviously become a more effective alternative to SSRIs that can be done inside my own home and only done as needed. No addictions like SSRIs give, no or little side effects. Aren't we all just kind of looking for a final solution to our illness like this? Well, that is all for this breakthrough. I will give any updates as it becomes available. Take care, friends. And if you have any questions or comments, or you just want to talk, or suggestions for show topics, please contact me at breakthroughindepression@gmail.com. And I've been told to say this. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys, and I look forward to seeing you next time.